In the chaos of World War I, where millions died anonymously in the mud, a new kind of hero emerged in the skies. They were the fighter pilots, the knights of the air, and their duels were front-page news. Among these aces, one name became a legend, a name that inspired both awe and terror: Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron. With 80 confirmed victories, he was the deadliest pilot of the war. His blood-red plane was a terrifying omen. Yet, when this German icon was finally shot down, the Allied airmen who had hunted him for years did something remarkable. They didn't celebrate. They recovered the body of their greatest enemy and buried him with the full military honors of a hero. This is the incredible story of the Red Baron's last flight, and an extraordinary act of chivalry that showed how respect could triumph over hatred, even in the middle of a total war. To understand the legend, you have to understand the man. Manfred von Richthofen was born into Prussian nobility, destined for a military life. He started the war as a cavalry officer, but the trenches made cavalry charges obsolete. Bored and craving action, Richthofen transferred to the new German Air Service, and it was there he found his true calling. He wasn't a showy, acrobatic pilot. He was a cold, methodical hunter. He studied his prey, planned his attacks with deadly precision, and never took unnecessary risks. His philosophy was simple: get close, shoot straight, and confirm the kill. For every victory, he commissioned a small silver cup engraved with the date and type of plane he'd shot down. By 1918, he had 80 of them. In early 1917, he was given command of his own elite squadron, Jasta 11. To make his unit stand out, he encouraged his pilots to paint their planes in bright, bold colors. He painted his own Albatross fighter a brilliant, menacing scarlet. From that, the legend was born. Allied pilots started whispering about the Red Devil, or most famously, the Red Baron. To see that flash of red meant you were facing the master, and your life was hanging by a thread. His squadron, with all its colorful planes, became known as Richthofen's Flying Circus. The Red Baron became a myth on both sides of the line. For Germany, he was a national hero, a symbol of knightly valor. For the Allies, he was the ultimate boogeyman, feared but deeply respected. There was a strange code of honor among these early pilots. They saw themselves as a brotherhood, separate from the infantry below. It wasn't uncommon for an ace to fly over a crash site to confirm his opponent's fate, sometimes dropping a wreath for a respected foe. By the spring of 1918, the war was at its tipping point. Germany launched its massive spring offensive, a last-ditch effort to win before America's full strength could join the fight. The skies over the Somme River in France were a hornet's nest of aircraft. Richthofen and his flying circus were in the thick of it, flying multiple missions every day. But the war was taking its toll. Richthofen was suffering from a serious head wound from the year before, causing him headaches and fatigue. His commanders begged him to retire, to become a living legend and train new pilots. He refused. His place, he said, was in the sky with his men. April 21st, 1918. It was a clear, hazy spring day. Richthofen led a patrol over the Somme Valley. They spotted British reconnaissance planes and dived to attack. The dogfight exploded as British Sopwith camel fighters, led by Canadian Captain Roy Brown, swooped in. The sky turned into a chaotic swirl of weaving, diving aircraft. In the middle of the chaos, Richthofen spotted a lone camel being flown by a rookie, Lieutenant Wilfred "Wop" May. May was on his first combat mission and had been ordered to stay clear of any fights. But he dived on a German plane, his guns jammed, and now he was trying to escape. Richthofen, the ultimate predator, saw the rookie's mistake and locked onto his tail. This was the classic Red Baron attack: focused, disciplined, and closing for the kill. May flew for his life, twisting and turning, trying to shake the red triplane. Seeing his young pilot in trouble, Captain Roy Brown dove from above, getting on Richthofen's tail and opening fire in a desperate attempt to save his friend. At that exact moment, down on the ground, Australian machine gunners saw the iconic red plane chasing an Allied fighter at treetop level. They opened fire, sending streams of bullets into the sky. For one fatal moment, the Red Baron was trapped. He had Captain Brown firing from behind and Australian machine guns firing from below. Suddenly, the invincible red triplane faltered. It broke off the chase, swerved, and glided down to a rough but controlled landing in a field deep inside Allied territory. Australian soldiers cautiously approached the plane. The engine was still sputtering. Inside the cockpit, the pilot was slumped over, motionless. They found Baron Manfred von Richthofen, the greatest fighter ace the world had ever known, dead. A single bullet had pierced his chest, killing him instantly. He was just 25 years old. News of his death spread like wildfire. The first soldiers on the scene started taking souvenirs, pieces of the red fabric, his watch, his boots. But when the Allied command arrived, the mood shifted from trophy hunting to profound respect. This wasn't just any enemy. This was the Red Baron. The Royal Air Force officially credited Captain Roy Brown with the kill. But Australian gunners on the ground have always claimed it was their fire that brought him down. The debate continues to this day, but what happened next is undisputed. The Allies decided that such a legendary warrior deserved a warrior's funeral. On April 22nd, the day after he died, the 3rd Squadron of the Australian Flying Corps held a full military funeral for their greatest adversary. 6 Allied captains served as his pallbearers. They carried his coffin, draped with a floral wreath, to a small cemetery in France. An honor guard fired a salute over the grave as a chaplain read the burial service. They made a plaque for his grave, inscribed in both English and German, that read, "Here lies Captain Baron Manfred von Richthofen, killed in aerial combat, the 21st of April 1918. They even took photos of the funeral and dropped them over Richthofen's home airfield, with a message. To the German Flying Corps. Rittmeister Baron Manfred von Richthofen was killed in aerial combat. He was buried with all military honors." From the British Royal Air Force. This final act was a powerful gesture of chivalry. It was a recognition that these men in the sky, despite their loyalties, were part of a unique brotherhood. They were enemies, yes, but they were also fellow pilots who understood the risks and respected the skill. The death of the Red Baron marked the end of an era. The individual chivalrous nature of early air combat was fading, replaced by larger, more impersonal battles. But the story of his final flight and honorable burial remains a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, respect for a worthy opponent can shine through. The Allies had fought relentlessly to end the Red Baron's reign, but when they finally succeeded, they chose not to gloat. Instead, they honored the extraordinary warrior they had defeated. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more incredible stories from history. See you next time.